Well, amen to that. All are welcome in this place. I'm delighted to see some of you here, or all of you actually, but some of you may know me. If you're not, I'm Maria Walker. I'm a 9 o'clocker, so if you don't recognize me, that's okay. I'm usually here, gone for the day by now, but I'm glad to have this opportunity to speak today, but I really feel like we must. I need to start with some level of confession to you all. I know that corporate confession isn't necessarily the jam of the Abbey, but I guess my history allows me to do this. So I need to share with you all that I love television. I love it so much. For those that have known me a while, you may be like, yep, so maybe you're surprised to hear that, but I love TV so much. It's not new, way back to when I watched Falcon Crest with my mom. Okay, some people, yes, very good. And up till now. It's probably the activity that Joel and I are the most different on, with maybe the exception of hiking, and caving and a few others. But definitely we're not the same on TV. I'd like to think that it came from my dad's love of storytelling. The man loved to tell a story. If it was true, great. If not, that's okay too. So my love for fiction started early. So with that being said, I really feel pretty confident that I have some experience to inform the message today. So let me take some time to tell you about a family of 4, okay? This family has a father that is warm and optimistic, even-keeled, and interestingly enough, has some pretty memorable facial hair. A mother that leans into her signature colors, has a flair for the dramatic, and communicates at the intersection of sarcasm and humor. And she has a tenderness known mainly to those closest to her. The oldest child seems to have been born an adult, viewing life through a lens of caution, and though interactions with those outside the family may be quite reserved, the character is deeply lovable. The youngest child is known for her confidence, her cleverness, her tenacity, and occasional disdain for her older sibling. So for some of you who know me, you may be saying, Maria, when did they create a show about the Walkers? For those of you that did not, show up at 9 o'clock next week and you'll meet some of them. They didn't. They didn't make a show about the Walkers yet. And it's a show about the Rose family. Johnny, Moira, David, and Alexis Rose are wealthy socialites that lose everything due to the actions of an embezzling business manager. So at the start of the show and the series, we see the government seizing all their stuff. As folks whisk away chairs and jewels and precious bags out the door, we hear Alexis, the youngest, shout, "They're taking our stuff." And David, he confronts one of the officials saying, "What kind of sick person wants to get paid to destroy another person's life?" Destroy. Yeah. And dear Moira cries out as her things walk out the door. She says, "My very soul has been kidnapped. There's no ransom. No one's coming to save me." Yeah, their only way forward from this devastation is to regroup and move to a town that Johnny once purchased as a joke for his oldest son's birthday, the town of Schitt's Creek. Now, let me be clear to you all, if you're not familiar with the show, and to any Burgesses or Walkers watching at home. It's Schitt's, okay? Schitt's Creek, just want to demonstrate that. They are allowed to keep this possession because it is essentially worth nothing. So perhaps you can imagine where this is going. The family relocates to this town. They're graciously offered 2 rooms at the Schitt's Creek Motel, and this new living space is a far cry from the luxury they are accustomed. This family has to learn to cope with their new normal as they become a part of the community of Schitt's Creek. But as far as knowing how to function successfully in a small town, well, let's just say the learning curve is quite steep, and therefore hilarity ensues. Throughout the show, we see each of the main characters experience their own transformation, and as Alexis Rose is known to say, I love that journey from me. Love that journey. So, yes, we obviously see there are some necessary losses, and we see these characters grow in a way that we could not imagine, or they couldn't. They lose everything to gain deep understanding in the world. So let's start with David Rose, a pansexual, witty, emotionally armored. He arrives in Schitt's Creek bitter and scared. But over time, through open-hearted friendships, gentle growth, and the deep love of Patrick, David discovers he's not only capable of love, he is worthy of it. David begins with self-protection, but he grows into trust. Trust in love, trust in others, and even in small-town life. We watch David embrace the idea that you are not too much, you are not unlovable. You are enough. In fact, you're simply the best. A song Patrick serenades him with at some point in the show. Alexis begins as pretty shallow and self-absorbed. She even writes and performs a song about herself entitled, A Little Bit Alexis. Trying to replicate some moves. She does transform into a person who chooses depth. She earns a degree, she starts a business, and she lets go of the thoughts that she needed love, because she has become someone with her own path. She defines her own worth and does so by not shrinking or settling or remaining distracted by extravagant experiences. Johnny Rose enters the town focused on quickly leaving and reestablishing his wealth. And throughout his time in Schitt's Creek, we see Johnny embrace the culture of the town and shift from focus on wealth attainment to what it means to do meaningful work. He is quiet, sturdy, and a ready presence as the family reconnects and as he reconnects to work and his purpose. And finally, my fave, Moira Rose. She is the queen of drama and diction. Not me, so forgive me for that. Moira, to me, is one of the best examples of fabulousness I have seen, with the exception of Sangeetha Kumar. Right here. I didn't say that at the 9 o'clock, but she's wearing one of my favorite colors, and this woman, amazing. She and Moira Rose could go head to head. Moira has her signature black and white wardrobe, her plethora of wigs, all with their own names and personalities, and her impressive caftans. So throughout the season, we see or observe Moira's embrace of an identity not tied to accolades or her acting roles, but to her ability to contribute to the community, to really show up for her family in her own way, and to stay present for them. I would be remiss if I didn't share that the final episode of the show, Moira officiates a wedding ceremony in what can only be described as papal-influenced attire, complete with hat. Note for you, maybe, for the future ceremonies, Sangeetha. So it is during this wedding that we see and hear pretty clearly her transformation from "my soul is kidnapped, no one is coming to save me," to these wise words. It is all but impossible to explain why things happen the way they do. Our lives are like little bebe crows carried upon a curious wind, and all we can wish for our families, for those we love, is that the wind will place us on solid ground. And I believe it's done just that for my family here in this little town in the middle of nowhere. She's Moira to the very end. So, as we look at these events, it seems pretty clear to me that wisdom from this experience or the small screen can be found in the Rose story of lose it all to gain the world. And yes, losing it all, you can gain the world. But I have to be frank, I don't know about you. I'm a little beat down from losing things. Losing friends, losing former 4-H'ers who've passed away, losing family members, relationships that are important to me, funding for my work, rights, basic rights that we've experienced in the last few months. This loss, y'all, it weighs real heavy on me. And maybe it does for you as well. And I just want to say, all right, I get it. No more loss. Look, I'm grateful for what I have, okay? Note, I've learned that lesson. Please, not again. Not one more thing. But that simply is not our reality. And so, yes, we can take the wisdom from Schitt's Creek that we can lose it all and gain the world, but I think there's more to it than that. While these main characters, they do evolve and develop through their loss, I take away a wisdom of closeness, of leaning into folks and places that lift you up and soothe your soul. It's only when the Rose family become physically close in their 2-bedroom motel that they can become close to one another and secure enough in themselves to become close to those in their community. So, what does the small screen wisdom mean for us now? I think it's saying we acknowledge loss happens. It hurts. It may weigh you down. For some, it can be an opportunity for growth and can be quite freeing. But to experience the necessary losses for growth and freedom, we may need to be held or lifted up by those closest to us, physically, emotionally, in the space of this room. So feel free to scooch a little closer on the bench, to pull up a chair to an already crowded table, and let's hold each other close as we continue to face whatever loss lies ahead. May it be so.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. It's nice to see you all. If we haven't met before, my name is Jay. I've worked at the Urban Abbey in some capacity for the past 8 years. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Well, I did quit and to get another job. So that's funny. Well, I do the filming here on Sunday still, so I'm still connected. But yeah, I got a job at UNO, so that's been great. Thanks. Wow, so much applause. Thanks. So today we're talking TV. When I was still working here full time, Deborah was like, well, I'm going on vacation, so I need a sermon series. And she was like, I want to do TV. So we talked about it. We threw out ideas. If you don't know this about the Urban Abbey staff, we're all big TV fans. We talk about Parks and Rec every day. Gab has every episode of Glee memorized. So sometimes for fun, you can just be like, okay, Glee, or not Glee, okay, Gab, what happened in season 4, episode 7 of Glee? And Gab will know, and they'll know every song too. And who sings it. And you may have missed this, but like a few years ago, we did a King of the Hill costume, the staff did. So all this to say, we're all big fans of TV. My pick is mainly based on the idea that I could have done an Irish accent for it. It's the show Dairy Girls. Some of you may be familiar with it. I thought about doing the accent long and hard, but I decided against it this time. Stay tuned. Maybe next year you'll get hit with a good old Irish accent for me. So Dairy Girls is a a Channel 4 original TV series. It aired from January 2018 to May 2022 and centers on a friend group of 4 Irish Catholic schoolgirls and 1 British boy who all attend an all-girls Catholic school in the 1990s in Northern Ireland. The show opens up over the town of Derry with armored military trucks, kid vandalizing a sign, little girls on their way to their first communion, all with Dreams by the Cranberries playing in the background, which really helps set the tone. The background of the show is the Troubles, which was a conflict in Northern Ireland at the time, one side wanting to remain the United Kingdom and the other which wanted to break away and become a united Ireland. This conflict colors everything that happens in these girls' lives, from minor inconveniences like being late to school because of a bomb planted on a bridge, to a member of the IRA stowing away in the family car on vacation. And in a different show with different characters, these things might be hard or scary, but with this show, with these characters, it's just kind of like what happens. It's like silly to them. These kids don't really care about the war as much as they do a concert for the British boy band Take That, which was derailed both by a different suspected bomb on the bus and an escaped polar bear from the Belfast Zoo. So you may note I'm saying girls and think to yourself, well, Jay, didn't you just say one of the characters is a boy? And to that I say, well, yes. James, their British friend, is one of the characters' cousins who comes to live with their family. He struggles at first, not just by being the only boy in an all-girls school, but also being a fish out of water in a country divided by war. And he's British. Like, I can't express to you how him being British is like a huge part of his central conflict in everywhere he goes. To begin with, James is not so much their friend as their ward. Even at this all-girls school, James is not exactly what you would call popular. In fact, he's right at the bottom of the totem pole, awkward and new, and again, he's British. I can't express to you. They resent the presence, how different he is. Everyone assumes he's gay, also with the British thing. And though he's quick to correct them, it follows him throughout the series. And in the face of this conflict, what I find really compelling about this show is how they respond to all of it. James is someone that his cousin and her friends grow to love, who finds common ground with this group of girls who at first don't seem to have much in common with him. And again, in a different story, him being the only boy might create some kind of conflict, some love triangle or another. But what happens here is James becomes one of them. He likes the same boy band. He wants to go to prom. He dresses up as Posh Spice and sings "Who Do You Think You Are" by the Spice Girls with the rest of them. And when one of his friends, Claire, comes out to them as a lesbian, he's the first person to accept her, the first person to be on her side when some of the other girls are just straight up homophobic to her. He shows up, he's with them, and his gender matters, but it's not the only thing that matters. At one point in the series, coincidentally when President Bill Clinton is giving a speech in Derry, James decides he wants to go back to England with his mother. He gets tired of being different, of being the laughingstock, of not belonging. Of course, his friends are devastated, and when he tells them he doesn't belong there, his cousin Michelle tells him, "That's not true, James. You're a Derry girl. You're a Derry girl now. Doesn't matter that you have that stupid accent, that your bits are different from my bits. Well, it's because being a Derry girl is a state of mind, and you're one of us." After this speech, James gets into the car with his mother, but in the next scene we see him waving triumphantly down to his friends, yelling, "I'm a Derry girl! I am a Derry girl!" And it's this coming into community, this acceptance, the idea that someone can have such a different experience and still find common ground. And that's what feels like the wisdom in this show. James doesn't have to be a girl to be one of the girls. And I think that's something that we can forget sometimes. Sometimes we get caught up in the right words or the right phrases, trying to be the most correct we can, trying to be the wokest. But what really matters is the heart in it. What matters is the showing up. and the genuine connection between people, having grace for each other, finding joy in things, laughing together, these things that are innately human, that transcend the things that divide us. This is what's important. This is what we can't lose sight of when times feel aimless and frightening. We are all weathering this storm together, and it is the strength that we find in our neighbors and friends and community that will carry us through. Now is not the time to give in to despair, but fight our hardest against it. And it's my hope that in these kind of dire times, that we can come together, not as Republicans or Democrats or immigrants or citizens or gay and straight or Irish and British, but as people, as friends. And that's what gives me hope. And this is what I always fall back on, that even though humans can be so cruel to each other, we're also capable of compassion and so much love, that people can love each other through anything and through everything. And when things are hard, that is when people show up the most, people you don't expect and people you do. This is where we find out the people who are in community with us. So on this Pride Sunday, I urge you to find humor wherever you can. I urge you to grow your community. And more than anything, I urge you to find love for your fellow humans, because we all need it. All we have is each other. And thank God for that. Thanks.